Hello, I'm Will Sampson. Welcome to the Woodworking Network podcast. Hello, I'm Will Sampson, and welcome to the first episode of the Woodworking Network podcast, where we explore the business of woodworking and what it takes to succeed. This episode is sponsored by Stiles Machinery. Today, my guest is Amanda Conger from the Cabinet Makers Association with some very interesting survey information on small to medium-sized wood shops. But before we get to Amanda, I want to start off talking about working in the dark. It's kind of like this. You get up in the middle of the night to head to the bathroom. No need to turn on the light. You know the way. You've done it 1,000 times before. But this time, something's different. You take a slightly different angle than you should and slam your toe into the corner of a dresser. Ouch! Too often, that's the way businesses are run, especially ones that have been going enough years that the owners are convinced they know what they're doing. They could run their business with their eyes closed, and so they do. These are the owners who never do any marketing. All my business is word of mouth. So they aren't targeting specific profitable markets. They just take whatever comes in the front door, resigned to the fact that some jobs are better than others. These are the owners who don't really plan for the future. They seldom research new markets or study alternative ways of production or management. When it comes time to replace a machine, they don't have a budget set aside for it, so they just figure the profit on the next job will give them the down payment. It's like robbing Peter to pay Paul when your name is both Peter and Paul. These are the owners who complain about the lack of good employees, but they don't invest any time in recruiting. They don't have relationships with regional trade schools or vocational programs. They don't support industry education initiatives. When they do find someone to hire, they don't invest time into training or encourage the new employee to contribute new ideas to the business. You just can't expect much from those darn millennials these days, they say. These are the same owners who are surprised by a downturn in the business. They've done little to study trends or anticipate changes in the economy. I've got no control over that, so why bother, they say. They've also not done anything to plan and manage for possible ups and downs. So the only strategy is to lay people off and wait for things to get better. Or in the worst case, they have to shut the whole operation down. These are the owners who don't network with other shops, don't keep up on changes in the industry. They keep reinventing the same wheels that shops all across the country have already perfected. And these are also the owners who come to the end of a career with no plan to exit the business. They haven't groomed a replacement owner or management team in-house. They haven't consulted with anybody about enhancing the value of their business for sale. They figure they'll just close the doors, auction the equipment, sell the real estate. They don't realize that a business can be worth so much more than just its physical assets. Of course, there are a few folks who do turn on the lights. They study trends, learn about efficient production and new machinery. They network with other shops to have a better understanding of how they fit in the industry and to learn new ways of doing things. They study existing customers and learn about potential new ones. They invest in their employees and find out how much value those employees can contribute to the business. And they do plan for the future. The question is, are you going to turn the lights on? With that thought in mind, I want to talk a bit about someone else who can help turn the lights on. As the leading provider of advanced wood products manufacturing solutions in North America, Stiles Machinery has been helping increase efficiency and productivity for more than 50 years. With offerings of world-class machinery, the nation's largest team of service and support specialists, an extensive inventory of ready-to-ship parts, and the industry's only nationally accredited workforce development program, Styles Machinery is your solution for any manufacturing challenge.
All right, I'm glad to invite Amanda Conger to join us today in the Woodworking Network podcast. Amanda is the executive director of the Cabinet Makers Association, which I'm proud to say I was involved in getting started back in 1998. How many years have you been executive director now, Amanda?
It's been almost 4 years as executive director, but prior to that, I was in training for a year.
That's right, and I know that you've also been involved in the industry a lot longer
than that. Yes, I've been in the industry for, I think it's been almost at least 15 now. So
that's great. That's great. Now, what's the primary mission of the CMA today? Is it, back in 1998, we were just trying to get small shops to talk to each other. What are you trying to do today?
It's still about the same thing. We provide education and networking opportunities for those small shops. And what I like to say is that we help members build more than cabinets. As clever as that is, but we do offer professional development to ultimately help grow their business.
Well, that's really important, too, because so many of these guys, they started because they liked making stuff, but not because they had any formal business training.
Correct.
And that's something that I've harped on for years.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about the annual benchmark survey. This survey gives a picture of the small to medium-sized shop audience. What's the point of the survey from the Cabinet Makers Association standpoint?
Well, ultimately, it's to help them, these smaller shops, understand where their business is in comparison to the other like-sized companies. A lot of the information you read in the industry is larger shops or industry as a whole, and these smaller shops tend to operate in a vacuum, so they don't know. So that's what this has helped to enlighten them.
That sounds great. And I know you're covering a whole sorts of different topics in the survey. What do you think is the most significant finding of the survey this year?
Well, I was surprised at the number of shops who do commercial projects. It was 70%. And then with the residential projects, they extended to every room in the home. So typically this group says they do high-end residential kitchen cabinets. When you ask them what they do, every single member says that. But that classification is becoming a misnomer.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this isn't just a bunch of guys making kitchen cabinets anymore. They're doing commercial work like retail build-outs and bank teller lines and then in the house they're not just doing the kitchen, they're doing vanities and storage units and garages and all the kinds of things too.
Mm-hmm. And it's the combination that it's commercial and residential at the same time, which is interesting because sometimes, historically what I've learned is that people either do one or the other. They don't want to work with the general contractor, so they do residential. But there is a huge mix this year. We reworded the question, so we've never asked it this way before, and it's very interesting.
That is interesting. Well, it seems like the shops are diversifying, and maybe that folks have learned the hard way from the last recession that they need to have more pots on the stove so that they can get things done.
We're going to stop right there for today. But we'll have more from Amanda about the CMA Benchmark Survey in our next podcast. You can find all of our podcasts at woodworkingnetwork.com and in the popular podcast channels. Thanks again to today's sponsor, Styles Machinery. If you have a comment or topic you'd like us to explore, contact me at will.sampson@woodworkingnetwork.com. Thanks for listening.